Okay, I want to talk about tariffs and trade and protectionism. When countries wish to trade with each other, they will engage in importing and exporting. Importing is when you bring, it's not up here and should be handled in your notes, but importing is when a country buys goods from another country. Exporting is when a country will sell goods to another country. And a lot of people have made the argument that we should try to help American businesses by limiting the amount of imports we bring in. It's called protectionism. There are others who think we should have what's called total free trade, where there are no barriers to trade. And for protectionism, there are two real ways that our government tries to get to do this. The first one is a tariff. A tariff is a tax on imported goods. So goods coming into America will be taxed, which will make them more expensive. And as they're more expensive, then the price will be higher and we'll buy less of them. And I'll show this graphically in a second. Similarly, there are things called quotas. A quota is a set limit, or it's a limited amount. It's a set specific amount of goods that are allowed in our economy, and no more can come in. And essentially, it's another way to limit imports. These are both forms of protectionism. There are two types of tariffs. The first one is a protective tariff. With a tariff, the tax is so high that it literally limits imports so much it serves to protect domestic businesses. So businesses in America are protected because of a higher tax or tariff. There's another one called a revenue tariff, which the tariffs are much lower, and it's not necessarily meant to drive out competition from the outside, but more to just bring in government revenue as a source of funding. So I'm not going to get into the sort of the politics of it, but a tariff is meant to protect American industry. It's obviously popular amongst American businesses at some level. A lot of unions have made the argument that it protects American jobs. A lot of free trade enthusiasts have said it actually discourages jobs. That by having free trade, the jobs that leave America or that are shipped off are less skilled jobs, and the jobs that come back to America tend to be higher paying jobs that need more education, but are better for our economy in the long run. So those are tariffs, quotas, protective tariffs, and a revenue tariff, and these are all types of protectionism. And obviously, free trade, there are no barriers to trade. And I want to show you how graphically we look at trade. So let's say this is the auto market, okay? And here is the quantity and price on the X and the Y. Here is the world supply of autos, and here's our demand, right? So the world can supply, and by world we mean how much we make in America and the rest of the world, right? And then here's our demand at these prices. What a tariff or a quota will do, it will reduce the supply. The number of suppliers will be reduced. So the supply curve will go like this. And we'll say supply sub 1, or maybe we say supply domestic, or whatever you want to say, and the curve shifts in. When the curve shifts in, there is a less quantity demanded, price sub 1, and then you have Q sub 1. So we have a smaller quantity of goods being sold at a higher price. That is the argument for free trade tends to increase prices and decrease quantity. Therefore, we are worse off. Protectionists would say that we're saving American jobs, and that's going to help our economy. It sort of depends on which way you look at it, but those are the two arguments. So real quickly, we've looked at tariffs, protective tariffs, tariffs, quotas, the two types of tariffs I want you to know, and then a real rudimentary graph, supply and demand of the automotive industry, and you can see how protectionism will reduce supply, which increases the price and reduces the quantity. So this is for a government economics class and for sort of rudimentary AP. And obviously in AP we'll get into more, a little more complicated supply and demand graph with a few more curves added onto it, and then we'll obviously also get into, when it comes to international economics, we'll get into currency markets graph. So this is the last basic graph I'm going to need my econ class, basic econ, to know.